guys. They won. It's okay. They won. Jeez.
Boy, was that one close. Bears survive and win 23-20 over the Houston Texans.
This game was won with the rush game.
The team neared 300 yards rushing. Let that set in for a second. Almost 300 yards on the ground. It's the only reason why we won this game, because Justin Fields looked really bad today.
Justin Fields looked not good at all in this one. Really struggled. Only 8 completions the entire game. Passer rating just over 20. An awful game for Fields, and he threw 2 picks. Both to the same guy.
Jalen Petrie came up with 2 picks and a sack for the Texans. A huge one at that. And Houston also was able to get to Justin Fields 5 times in this one. And that's just... that him getting sacked 5 times is a joint offensive line and Fields' fault. Fields had to do a lot of rushing today. He was the second rusher on the team with, I think, a little over 40 yards rushing.
I lied. He almost got 50 yards rushing because the pocket collapsed so often that he just had to continue to run and just couldn't find anyone down field. And again, the offense can't stretch the field. This has been a problem with the offense forever. And so, yeah, it happened again. And it also reinforced the fact that we are a great rushing team because we had almost 300 yards rushing on the ground. Like I just don't get it. How it's like consistently through, everything, the entire history of the franchise, not one quarterback can air the ball downfield, and yet you continuously still have great rushing so that you can somewhat stay in games. Like, that's the biggest problem with the Bears as an offense. They have good rushing. Problem is they can't pass the ball to save their lives.
Fields has now thrown at least 1 interception in all 3 games this season. He's got 4 on the year. He's got 2 touchdown passes. Both came against San Francisco. And he's got a rushing touchdown. The two touchdowns that came in this one were both courtesy of Khalil Herbert, who had his coming out party with over 150 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns.
Due to Montgomery getting hurt early in this one, Khalil Herbert took the bulk of the carries and did a fantastic job. Tristan Ebner, our 3rd string, actually got a little bit of running activity and got, I think, about a little over 25, maybe about 25 yards on the ground. But that was our entire offense. That was all we had, and the Texans still couldn't stop the rush.
Like, if we can run for this many yards, we only passed, like, I don't even know if we even crossed 100 passing yards in this one, which is just insane. Where the Texans were pretty much the exact opposite. Their entire offense was passing, and they couldn't get anything on the ground. So, kind of neutrals out that way. But the Bears' offense, and just as a whole, probably looked the best they had this season, and it was solely because of the ground game.
But yeah. So while Justin Fields did throw 2 interceptions, Davis Mills also threw 2 picks. He also did throw a touchdown, so good for him. But 2 picks for Davis Mills. One after Justin Fields' first interception gave Houston a short field. They went down, and a pass to the end zone was tipped and picked off by Eddie Jackson in the end zone. It's Jackson's 2nd interception of the season, and we're already only 3 weeks in. He had a very bad year last year, so I'm glad to see that he's coming up with some big plays, producing turnovers as well. So good to see that from Jackson. Kyler Gordon played pretty well, if I remember correctly. The defense, they hung in there. Roquan Smith. Let's talk about Roquan Smith and why we need to pay him ASAP.
Roquan Smith. If this is a game in a contract year that should, keyword, should convince Ryan Poles to extend Roquan Smith. We have the largest cap space. We have the biggest cap space in the league right now. Pay Roquan Smith, please. This is a perfect game on why we should pay the man. 16 tackles, 6 solo tackles, 2 tackle for losses, and an interception in the last 2 minutes that basically won the game for Chicago.
This game was tied at 20 for a long time. We went into halftime 14-13. I'll talk about the end of the first half in a minute. But we went to the end of the first half, 14-13. Bears scored a touchdown. Houston scored 2 field goals. And that was the end of the scoring until the last play of the game where Santos drilled a 30-yard game-winning field goal. Roquan Smith set up said game-winning field goal by picking off Davis Mills in the last minute and a half of the game and taking it inside Houston's 20. I mean, frankly, you could say that each team tried to give each other the win. After 2 field goals and a touchdown from the Texans and Bears, all those points were the first 3 drives of the entire half. A field goal, a touchdown, a field goal, and then Justin Fields would throw a second pick of the game, and then it would be just punts until that interception from Roquan Smith and then the field goal from Santos. So it's like we got to, Houston tied the game at 20, and then both offenses were like, yeah, that's enough scoring for today. That's enough scoring. That's enough of doing things today. We're good with the rest of it. Well, this is fine.
Tell you what, I was way more nervous than I thought I was going to be. They went up 10-0, and I was like, oh, it's great. They're getting things going. They're up 10-0. They let the first touchdown. I'm like, it's okay. They're still in the lead right now. Then Justin throws an interception. And then Jackson picks it off and gets the ball back for Chicago. And then it's just punts galore until Houston takes the lead. And then Chicago would score a field goal after, a bad sack that Justin Fields took. Santos still is able to drill a 50-yarder. But let's talk about the end of the first half here.
This was really stupid. This is on the fault of Matt Eberflus. Dude needed to, I don't know what he was doing, but, you get the ball back and you have a chance to drive for a field goal. You have to drive for a field goal. I think it was probably about 3rd and 10. Justin Fields picked up a first down. There's like 30 seconds, and there's no timeout, no urgency from Matt Eberflus. And all of a sudden, there's like 15 seconds to go, and now they decide to snap it one more time and let the clock run out. Incredibly conservative play calling from Matt Eberflus, and I thought it was utterly stupid.
Look, the Texans know some bad play calling because they played Nathaniel Hackett from Denver last week, and they were in a position to win the game and they couldn't, and Denver pulled away with that one. But Nathaniel Hackett, from what I heard from that one, did not coach a good game, and it was tough for Denver. This was the biggest. I was surprised to see Matt Eberflus just decide, let's just take it to half. We're only down 1 point. You're still trailing, and you have the ball. Why not go for the field goal? Why not try to score more points? Because that's what this team needs. This team and this franchise desperately needs to score more points on a consistent basis, and they cannot. Scored 23 points, better than the last 2 efforts. Over doubled their total from last week. But this one was tough. That was a really questionable and dumb coaching move from Matt Eberflus. And I don't know what he was thinking when deciding, I want to wait. I'm just going to go into the locker room. I understand not trying to risk a turnover or something. I understand that. But it's Houston. Houston is not Green Bay. Green Bay will make you pay for a turnover in the last minute of a half. Houston will not. They do not have the talent. In fact, I would say that we probably have better talent than Houston. That's up for debate. Up for debate. Not going to make any sweeping, I'm not going to tell that Houston's trash. I mean, we're not good either. But looking at the schedule here in week 3, when it came out, it was like, it's the most winnable game on the schedule. It was the most winnable game on the schedule. They ended up winning the game. They won. But it was way closer than it should have been. If Justin Fields would have been able to get something going in the second half, this game could have gotten pretty ugly pretty fast.
But yeah, this game was won by the defense and the running game. Justin Fields looked really bad, and that is a concerning game for Justin Fields to have, especially against a team like Houston. He needs some work. He needs to do a lot of work here this week to prepare to go to MetLife to face the Giants, which they're 2-0 right now, and they got Dallas. If they can win this game, they're going to be 3-0, and Chicago will be going to the MetLife. It's the third straight week the Giants have a home game, and they've already upset Tennessee. They beat Carolina. They've got Dallas this week at home, and they've got us. So this is a big game for the Bears. Can they go 3-1? That would be pretty nice to say, hey, they went 3-1. They had a good start to the year, because they're not going anywhere, and I would love to just see them have a 3-1 record. That would just be kind of nice to have, gonna be honest.
Would make me feel a little bit better about myself. Gonna be honest. But, it's the Bears. The offense is not gonna score 20 points a game. They don't score 20 points a game. They got 23 in this one. But, they don't score 20 points a game. This is how the Bears offense has been for the last 5-6 years. It has been under 20 points a game on a consistent basis. The defense keeps them in the games, and they win the 16-13 ugly game. That's just how it's been. I legit have no concept of what a good offense looks like and what scoring 40 points looks like. We had the one game in 2018 against Tampa where we scored 48, but outside of that, and if you exclude that year, it's been nothing but agony. I would kill to just have a competent quarterback. And I want Justin Fields to be a competent quarterback, but right now he is just not it. He needs to develop, and we need to see more development. And then again, we're not expecting to go to the playoffs this year. Not expecting that. I want to see more development from Justin Fields, because we got rid of Mitch Trubisky to get Justin Fields pretty much. We basically saw Trubisky's bad. Let's get rid of him. Let's find someone else. I thought it was a dumb decision. Trubisky's not the greatest of all time. He's not going to be. He will always live down in infamy for being drafted ahead of Mahomes and Watson. But guess what? Mahomes, that was not who I wanted to say. I wanted to say Trubisky. Trubisky at least looked competent. I imagine if Matt Nagy decided to actually play to his strengths, he would have been a much better quarterback. But guess what? We traded him away, and now he's in Pittsburgh after taking a year in Buffalo to learn under an offensive coordinator who actually cares about his development. Said coordinator's now in New York. The head coach, Brian Daboll, head coach in New York, leading Daniel Jones to a 2-0 start. And the Bears will be out at MetLife next week. A site which I don't remember too much because the last 3 years the Giants and Bears have played in Soldier Field. So I'm actually kind of nice. It's going to be nice to have the Bears play the Giants in MetLife. New scenery. But yeah, this is going to be a game that you're looking on the schedule as like a winnable game, but the way that the Giants have played, I don't know if it's so winnable anymore. Definitely one of the more winnable games on the schedule, but I am fingers crossed to see that Justin Fields can throw the ball. And hopefully that injury to David Montgomery isn't that bad because, well, Khalil Herbert played a great game
and it had over 1,500, or no, not 1,500, 150 yards rushing, I would love to see the two-headed monster of Montgomery and Herbert again next week. Because while I don't think Ebner's like bad or anything, I'd rather see Montgomery and Herbert be the two-headed monster that they have been the past year. And so I'd like to see that. I would also like to see if Ebner it can be a good solid third string. Because you know what? David Montgomery's now injured. There's nothing we can do about it. We just hope that he recovers as fast as he can to be able to play healthy. Don't want to rush him out too fast. Especially because we have New York next week. It's not like we're playing Buffalo. We have them later. We don't want David Montgomery to get injured again and rush him out into New York, have him get injured again, and then have him be out for the season. That's not how we want to go about this. So we want to make sure that David Montgomery's healthy and able to play again. Yeah, I just hope he's going to be able to play again because I would much rather have David Montgomery back rather than Tristan Ebner as our second string. But who knows? Maybe the Bears found yet another great running back in Tristan Ebner because they just they just can't seem to miss on running back picks. So the Bears got New York next week. They won this one thanks to the rushing game. If they want to beat New York, they're not gonna have to rely on the fact that they're gonna get 280 rushing yards again. It's not gonna happen. We need to have a better passing attack next week. It is imperative, especially in this offensive-driven, pass-driven league, for Fields to develop and to be able to throw the ball accurately and for the receivers to catch the ball and get open. Not only that, but he needs to be protected too. Justin Fields just needs to be protected as well. Was sacked 5 times. Was the most sacked quarterback last year, I believe. If it wasn't, I think it may have been Joe Burrow, but if it wasn't Joe Burrow, it was Justin Fields. And Fields just needs to be more confident. I will say I appreciate his confidence to making plays happen with his feet. Now he needs to make plays happen through the air. The Bears desperately need someone who can throw the ball downfield. And we desperately need an offense that can stretch the field for big gains. We can't just continuously throw the ball like only 10 yards or shallower to a receiver. Like we need to be able to air the ball downfield. And if we can't do that, we're not going to keep up with this league. And so if Justin Fields can get that deep ball and he can get the time and a receiver who can catch those deep balls, hopefully that'll be the spark that this offense needs to be able to be one of the better offenses in the league, because right now we got no one at receiver worthy of note other than Darnell Mooney, and he has had a rough season. Hey, 2 receptions in this one, but only just over 20 yards on those. Like, we need to be able to just throw the ball. Like, it's just, we need to pass the ball. Like, we just need to pass the ball. That's the one thing every team in this league can do, except us. Just pass the ball. It's not that hard. Well, yeah, I'm one to say that it's not that hard. It's much harder than it really sounds like, but you can't throw 100 yards and you throw 2 picks? Come on. So, yeah, the Giants are next week. And hopefully the Bears can get to 3-1. That would be something else now, wouldn't it? Anyways, that's going to do it for me. If you like this reaction, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button to see more reactions from me. That's all I got. I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everyone.